What is going on, Secondhand Talent family? It is your boy Steiner here with another episode of Secondhand Talent. Thank you to Spusta Studio for the shirt and the art. Thank you to Luke Chu for the lo-fi. Thank you to Tenacious Toys for the desk candy. And thank all of you for tuning in, our readers, listeners, and viewers. And thank you so much to this week's guest, the founder of the Sandbox Channel, a channel dedicated to the music of widespread panic, Turner May, all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to the show, sir.
Not just widespread panic, Mikey widespread panic is really the focus of what we're trying to do. But me.
Well, we're gonna get into why that specific delineation matters, and that's really, you know, the hone in of this conversation. And before we ask our first question, you know, just tell us a little bit, real quick, just a little bit about Mikey and why his influence on the band was so important.
Well, I mean, they took their name from him, basically. They've talked about it in the documentary, actually, The Earth Will Swallow You. But he was known as Panic because he had panic attacks, and he kind of quipped one day that he wanted to be more than just panic. He wanted to be widespread panic, and that's where the name came from. But to me, he plays guitar like nobody I've heard since or before. He's heavy. It's got a chainsaw tone that can turn into shooting laser beams. And he, to me, drove the band. He had a flow, a lead, the lingering lead, that the band could just get on board and follow.
And dare I say, quintessential to the foundation, forming the foundation of the legacy of the band.
I mean, there's his silhouette is, you know, ubiquitous.
Less. I mean, that's that. I couldn't have put it in any way at all better myself. Now on to our first question. In a roundabout sort of fashion. We met through our friends over at True Conversation. Shout out to you all over there. Great team. Gotta ask, the first time I reached out to you and said, hey, I have a show called Secondhand Talent. We didn't really know each other whatsoever, really, at all.
Right.
And I reached out after looking into a little bit about what you were about after True Conversation announced that you were going to be on the show. And I reached out and said, I have a podcast. It's called Secondhand Talent, and I want you to be on the show. So when you read the name Secondhand Talent, what was the first thing that came to your head? Not knowing me at all.
Well, to be honest, it would be just how the name made me think of Secondhand Lions, actually, the movie Secondhand Lions, where it just connected the two things. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Deep cuts.
So we actually watched that not too long ago. My wife hadn't seen it. It still holds up.
Yeah.
But
whoa, I got to rewatch that.
That's where my head first went. But I did watch one of your episodes, Matt Looting one recently, and then so I knew this question was coming. But that's the first thing I thought of.
Well, so I love that you said that, because first of all, and I say it every episode, we never get the same answer twice, and even though it gets harder and harder to ask this question because people kind of are learning about what Secondhand Talent is before they, at the same time as they're hearing the name, which is, something that I'm learning to reckon with still here in season 5. Immensely gratifying. I mean, it really means so much to me that people are able to elucidate what the show's about to their friends without any hesitation, and they already know. Folks, I just want our to our viewers on YouTube, like and subscribe, please. It really does help the channel. Leave a comment if you want, if you like the interview or what you'd like to hear about on the channel. If you're listening, subscribe, download the episodes. If you're reading, we have captions now. Riverside, so that's actually a possibility. Let us know if you're reading, by the way. If you're on YouTube and you're reading, I definitely would love to hear from you about that. But getting back to your answer, um, I really love that you watched the Matt Lunig episode, because he's an artist who, right now he's in, I believe, the Georgia area, and he did something pretty magnificent, in my opinion, by bringing the TRPS scene out into the Southeast. And for those who don't know, the TRPS is the Rock Poster Society, and we'll go watch our interview with Matt from
Well,
season
I'll tell
4.
you, I learned something from that myself. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head right now, but I had never heard of that before. And just recently, I've listened to that episode within the last week. I saw it mentioned somewhere. It was a poster for it or something like that. I can't remember, but I was like, oh yeah, that's what that guy was talking about. So I learned something myself there.
I love to hear it, and
Yeah.
that's honestly that's what I love about this show, is hearing things like that people learn something, that people like something enough that they wanted to check it out. And I really hope that the folks who listen, read, and watch this interview, go check out the Sandbox channel. All those links are going to be in the description. And before we get into what the Sandbox channel is, and what it is you do with the music of Widespread Panic, tell us a little bit about not just yourself, but kind of like what were your musical sensibilities growing up? Do you play? How did you get into Widespread? And then we'll go on kind of from there. But I'm very curious to hear, we've had our dear friend of the show, Ween Archived, on, and their passion for the band, for the band's music is, I understand where that comes from, but I would love to hear from you, specifically
Sure.
where your passion comes from.
Um, so both my parents enjoyed music, didn't play, but I grew up listening to oldies 106.9 here in Birmingham, riding around in my mom's minivan. Uh, my dad was Rolling Stones and Allman Brothers guy. So that Southern rock thing with the Allman Brothers was kind of always there. Um, my brother was always big into music. He's 7 years older than me, so I kind of, he grew up I'd say I kind of had an 80s kid, even though I was 84, and 90s was really my decade that I grew up in. I'm really an 80s kid because I grew up with all the influences of him, including Widespread Panic. Um, that's how I got into them, essentially, is he was in high school listening to him. There was a festival that's no longer around, unfortunately. It's called City Stages. Took place on the streets of downtown Birmingham. Saw all sorts of bands. I mean, Snoop Dogg, Collective Soul, um, local bands. Panic played there back in the day. Had bought me a couple albums in '99, I think, Christmas of '99, and that was his last year of college, and he'd been touring around. Again, he'd been into him since high school, but going into college he was able to go see him at a bunch of shows. And he gave me 2 CDs, the most recent one, which was Till the Medicine Takes, and his favorite was Every Day, which is kind of my favorite too. It's got the best collection of songs on it, in my opinion. Till the Medicine Takes is the best produced one, I think. What they did with it, where they went with it, and I think they kind of nailed it. But the first shows I saw, in talking about Birmingham and music scene, had Oak Mountain, and some of the best shows they've ever played, that I was grateful and thankful and lucky to be able to take part of at 16 years old in high school,
Mm.
because it was right down the street in Pelham, and I could drive there and drive home the same night. And so I got to see 2000 Run, which is what that is, from the DVDs from that night. Jeff and Chris Hansen produced that one, and my brother, gave me that for Christmas. Talking about my brother again, get me into Panic. But so I saw those 3 runs, top notch Panic. Uh, it's about as good as you can get of runs for what they did, especially that '01 run, and then '02 was the last thought to be the last shows that Mikey was going to play. He felt good enough, I guess, to get out on the summer run, Bonnaroo, the first Bonnaroo, and a couple of shows past that. But then he left the road, and George McConnell took over.
So, being a founding member and a pivotal part of the sound, what did his departure mean for you as a fan, especially one who had come in? I'm very grateful that and blessed that when I was a kid, my dad would take me to go see shout out to dad. He took me to go see the free concerts in the park, which when I was growing up were like, Rare Earth and Three Dog Night and Bachman Turner Overdrive, which,
great stuff.
yeah, like I'm blessed and
Bands,
real fucking bands,
Yeah.
and even though Chicago is a great music city, when you're when you're in it, in the industry, when you're a kid, you can't just go to shows or anything like that. Like, you need your parents to take you into like the Western burbs to like the concerts in the park, which is what these were, like to Ravinia or something like that. Like, you can't just decide to go out to a show that you're not even old enough to get into. So I can't really claim any, like, as attached to some bands as I am, there's really no relationship with a band seeing them live that I have that kind of relates to this. So what was the impact for you as a fan who came in at such an early and formative age of Mikey's departure from the band?
Well, they kept going, but that was my first. I mean, I guess it's selfish, I guess, but my first thought was, I wasn't going to be able to see this band anymore. I didn't know. We first learned he was sick. They never announced it until he left the road. They never mentioned it until he left the road, but it had gotten around fan circles. So you knew he was sick, and you didn't know what was going to happen with the band. You didn't know if they were going to continue on. I'm graduating high school 2002, and I'm not going to see my favorite band who had become, part of my personality and kind of still is to this day, and it was going to end. Grateful they carried it on. They had some bumpy road. I like the George years for what it was, and he got them through. Pivotal point for them. Put out some great albums. Terry Manning, the producer of Earth to America and Free Somehow, just passed away, and I think Earth to America with George is an underrated album. But I don't know, man. It was that 2002 Oak Mountain run. That is the run. That is the shows that will never be topped for me. Knowing he was sick, they played their hearts out. Every song took on new meanings. I mean, and the thing is, he was a huge part of the songwriting. He wrote a lot of the songs. A lot of their Wondering, Ain't Life Grand. Those are. I mean, those are his
talk
songs.
about quintessential Panic. I mean,
those
that's
and
you can't really.
And then him playing Ain't Life Grand is just like a whole different meaning. Vacation was a song he sung that was his. That with you by my side, I might get back alive for my next vacation is a lyric in that song. And I mean, being in the crowd, the whole crowd knew he was sick. Again, the band hadn't announced it, but everybody knew. This Part of Town, another song of his, he sings, and where there is love, there is hope. And it's just like crowd goes nuts, and it's just.
And is that are those final shows the shows commemorated in that piece behind?
No,
you?
that's 2000. This was 2002. He passed away in August of 2002. This was those shows were April of 2002. These were August 2000.
So it was really just a handful of months. I mean,
Dude, his last show was summer, July 2nd, a random show in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I think. July 2nd was his last show. He passed away August 10th.
okay. Now, Jesus Christ.
He played
I
until he couldn't. And I mean,
I was not gonna try to even think about drawing this comparison before. Be There's only one other band that I can think of. Granted, over the course of their lifetime, they cycled through keyboardists.
mm,
But, I mentioned what the music that my dad introduced me to. My mom introduced me to Frank Zappa and the Grateful Dead. And she was at those final shows at Soldier Field in 95. And he passed, of course, August 9th.
I remember that day I was at camp. That's a whole different story, but
I mean, just like, I was reticent to bring it up before, but as you were speaking, I was like, there's literally, I got a little Funko of him right up there, and I'm like, there's only one other person I can think of that yeah, that. And this is coming from someone who, I was a 90s kid, right? And I guess the decade I really grew up was the 2000s, but I'm a 90s kid in the same way that the decade you technically grew up was the 90s, but you're an 80s kid. And, my first time ever seeing any member of the Grateful Dead at all was in May of 2009. It was before I had even gotten the opportunity to see Fish, because it was a month before they got back together. I saw them a month later at Alpine. But it was, the lineup for that tour was, I still have the poster 26 years later, at the time of this airing. And it was Phil, Bobby, Mickey, Billy, and then Bruce Hornsby and Jeff Chimenti and Warren Haynes. And I mean, I feel like that was the iteration that I've seen in my lifetime that was the closest to. Because listen, Warren Haynes ain't no Jerry. As much as I love and respect him, Bruce Hornsby played and toured with the Dead. He was there. Jeff Chimenti has been on the ride along, for the last 30 years. But I've always known that, knowing that I'll never have the opportunity to see Jerry, makes me appreciate those after shows that much more. But you being in the position where you did get to see Mikey, when did you take a break from seeing the band after this time, or did you kind of just power through and keep seeing them? What was the situation like?
no, I kept going. Last time I saw Mikey was the first Bonnaroo in '02 into June. I just graduated high school. And then the first George show I saw was November of '02,
Hmm.
which would have been that fall tour. Um, couple weeks after their Halloween shows, which uh, was kind of the beginning of the first tour after Mikey had passed. They
What
had
was the?
played sorry,
Go on. No, go ahead.
they played two shows a week after he died in that August, like August 18th, out in Colorado. Just two random shows that were they were weeks after their summer tour ended. There were weeks before their fall tour began. Just kind of out there shows. Uh, so those were technically the first shows with George McConnell.
For our listeners and potentially our readers, I've got this kind of confused expression on my face. So like and subscribe on YouTube so you can see how confused I look, because I'm like, is that uncouth? Like, was there like how like I'm assuming like like you probably felt like you were at least a pretty strong fan at that point. I mean, having seen them for that long, and I mean, like what was the temperature? What was the atmosphere like that they were playing shows right away?
Um, I mean, I don't think it was any ill will. I think it was
Okay,
contracts that they had. And
that's fair.
uh, Mikey had told them he wanted the train to keep rolling.
Okay, well that's different.
So,
That yeah, okay. I
um,
mean that
and,
matters.
and George had been out there with them that, summer tour when Mikey he started the summer tour. He did Red Rocks, the Bonnaroo. And then, like I said, it may have been a show or two, but then that last random single show in Iowa was his last show. But George McConnell had been there the whole time and would come out and play a couple songs or whatever else. He'd been in a band with JoJo in college called Beanland. JoJo left Beanland to become part of Panic. And then 8 years later, 10 years later, actually, uh, he brings on George McConnell to fill in. And he was there to help Mikey to, you know, give Mikey a break in between solos and this, that, and the other. And then I guess when he left the road, George immediately took over uh, after that July 2nd show.
So it was kind of like like listen, like we have his blessing. We need to keep this train moving. So
Essentially,
we're gonna make the best of what's around, and
I mean, they didn't call me and advise me and tell me what their plans were in discussions, but from hearsay and this, that, and the other, I believe they found out around the beginning of the year of 2002, and they kind of decided they were going to do this one more tour, spring tour, kind of condensed tour. Played some southeastern dates, ending in at Oak Mountain, it was kind of their comfortable
Mhm.
place, had become their comfortable place. They knew the owner and promoter and all that down here, um, and um, they thought that would kind of be it for Mike to be. Like I said, I guess he felt well enough and wanted to continue on and keep going as long as he could, and I guess he did. So
Man,
I think this
power
was
to
all
him.
discussed. I think they all knew what was going to happen. They knew what the inevitable was. It was pancreatic cancer, and they knew what they were looking at. Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I think I'm sure all those decisions were made by people that are, you know,
Well,
paid
power
or there
to
to make those
them.
decisions.
Well, power to them. I mean, like for being able to then, in that case, knowing that now, because again, folks, in case you're not aware, I'm not the biggest of Panic fan or the most versed of Panic fan. So I'm learning a lot of things, as much as I'm sure a lot of our readers, listeners, and viewers are. Now, one thing I do know for sure about Widespread Panic, because I am such a fan of this artist right here and right here, who has done quite a bit of work with them, including on their two most recent albums, Hailbound Queen and Snake Oil King, which at the time of this taping came out a couple of months ago. Did a whole bunch of artwork, including patches and hats and prints and all these different things, as well as the album covers for each album. Super cool. And it's been also, one of the ways I was made really a lot more aware of Widespread was with Marq Spusta's involvement and a lot of the work that he's done with them. And it is really a testament that 23 years later, they're still not just touring, but making new music and rolling along with it. And I guess my next question would be, when along this way, if ever, was there a cessation in seeing them? And if not, when did you decide to start the channel and why?
Um, I will see them again if they come near me. I think traveling large distances for them um, is kind of not something I'm into. I saw them one night in Huntsville when they played a run there. I drove up and back. Uh, there was rumor that there's a new amphitheater opening here in Birmingham in the next couple months. It's downtown. It's basically replacing Oak Mountain Amphitheater, but it's going to be directly downtown Birmingham. And it was rumored they're going to play there. I would have obviously I've asked off work just on that based on a rumor. I asked off those dates of work to make
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to happen. But um, the channel started essentially just as a project for myself. There were a long time there were a few songs that I wanted to add to video that I knew was out there. There was soundboard audio that existed for that, and I wanted to take a few songs and put those out there. One being what I thought or think is their best bow-legged woman that they've ever played. There was soundboard audio that came out well after that they released. I wanted to put it together, so it all started as just single songs that I wanted to do,
And
and then I
pin a
was like,
year
well,
on it. When
this
are
was
we
probably three
talking
years
about here?
ago,
Okay.
or so. Oh, it was, yeah, I mean, that's about right. Three and a couple months ago, 3.2 years ago. But
Mm-hmm.
as I finished those few songs, I was like, well, that was kind of easy. I wonder if I have a soundboard of a whole show with video that's out there. I'm going to see if I can put those two together. And that was easy. And I was like, well, I'm going to continue doing that.
Well, now,
And
hold on now. Hold on now. We got to hold on now. Got to call you on one thing now. You say that was easy.
mm,
Now, I have to ask here, and I probably should have asked this before, knowing what was coming up, but what was your audio and or video experience like coming into starting this channel?
uh, I mean, I didn't even know what program to download really. Uh,
Let's
I, I,
go.
I started with something with the free trial. I think it's called Wondershare is what I first started with. Like I said, I was only trying to do one song, so it didn't take very
And
long. Go ahead.
sorry, just real quick, just like, was it just like you were just really passionate about this version and you were like, it should be this way? Like,
Yes,
it's okay.
yes.
I just like
But
just to
so
determine like where this is coming from.
one is, I mean, in the Panic community, especially that knows like the Mikey era, this bow-legged specifically is known as like
Mm,
the top. And it's a great
sure.
recording, audience recording on its own, which was what was already there. But I was like, well, the soundboard exists. I want to sync it up. The second one where Santana sat in with them in 2001 at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, and he sat in at the beginning of the second set, 4 songs. They put that whole show out as a soundboard recording during their little archive podcast they put out about a decade ago. So that's out there. They put it out there for free. So I'm going to put it up to those 4 Santana songs. So basically, I started with 5 songs, but I had that whole Santana sit-in show was available all the way through. I was like, well, I'm going to try to do the whole show. That didn't take very long. Learning curve, as you asked, was not that hard. I got better as I went along.
Mm-hmm.
I continued to do videos as far as I could find a soundboard audio recording and that video existed of that same show, I was going to try to put it together. And of course, I can't name the number, maybe 15 shows like that, less than probably, that I put all those together, got better as I go along,
Sure.
to where I wanted to start trying to work on the video a little bit. And that's when I upgraded to Adobe Premiere Pro. And I've got a subscription to Adobe now to be able to do a lot of the things. And the first thing starting with was adding video stabilization. That's what I knew. That's what I knew I wanted to do, starting with the video remastering, if you will, trying to make them better.
It definitely makes a lot of sense based on some of the older Panic videos that live videos specifically that I've seen from those earlier years. I mean, video tape recorders were expensive and clunky, and that's no one's fault. That the technology wasn't up to speed yet,
Well,
but
even the ones that have a tripod in there, people dancing and stuff,
mm,
it's gonna move a little bit and shake a little bit,
yeah.
and that little bit of I mean, boom, boom, like this in the screen, you make it steady, and it changes the recording completely.
But it's one thing to meet the learning curve. I mean, if anybody cares to watch or listen from, the first season of Secondhand Talent to now, we've, the learning curve is crazy, and I've done my best to meet it as far as the technology and the software. But it's one thing to, learn how to edit video and audio. It's another thing entirely to learn Adobe. I think anyway, or as far as my experience has been. And how did you find that process? Or did you just kind of jump into it, or?
Um, well, yeah, so had never used Adobe before, so again, there is a learning curve there, and I'm still learning as we go.
Mm.
Even with Adobe, I've started using another program and may jump into another one. So there's always going to be a learning curve. YouTube is a great resource for trying to, you just type in what I'm trying to do. And, I can't tell you how many videos I've watched about VHS to digital conversion and things to make it look better. Because what I've been working on the last 6 months, maybe a little longer, took a hiatus, but I've been working on, I've got a big box of VHS tapes that somebody gave me, and
Oh,
most of them have been digitized already or up on YouTube already, but there's a couple handfuls that aren't. So I've been trying to spend time getting those digitized.
yeah.
Those obviously uh, are the audio is from the tape recorder itself. So whether I have soundboard or just an audience recording to go to it, it's going to be an audio upgrade. But these are the new tools I'm trying to learn. This new program beyond Adobe that I'm trying to learn is to take out some of that grain and noise that may be in a VHS tape that's 25 years old or older.
Yeah, I highly recommend folks check out our interview with another archivist. Which at this point, I would say that if not a conservator, then you're certainly an archivist of this material by doing what you're doing.
The recent
And
stuff has been trying to get things that aren't out there, and they're not great. A lot of these aren't great quality. There's a couple that are pretty good, but I'm trying to get those there on the
well, you
YouTube so people can watch them.
well you've got to work with what's first
Yeah,
of all,
right.
you've got to work with what's available. Second of all, and folks, I hope you check out our interview with Ween Archived, or with Dave Eckenberg from earlier in this season. Manipulating and mastering videotape is not an easy process, and it is definitely, even if you grew up with it as we did, um it's not easy to find hardware and technology that's adaptable necessarily for for these specific needs, to old media, which is not what that is. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 4 VCRs at one point trying to find the right one for
Uh,
these
uh,
conversions. There's still, you can still go beyond what I have. I don't know how much value it would be in because these are copies of copies of copies. This box of tapes, I'm sure, is not any masters, but I don't know if you know what the Doomsday Project is, but
mm-mm.
um, it's a laser disc uh, archive program or method, but you can use it with VHS tapes where you'll take off the case of a VCR and you'll connect it to the nodes and you'll get exact you're getting the data direct instead of using the magnetic heads, I guess.
You're
Hard to
getting the
explain.
data.
You're
You're getting the data directly from the tape.
you're getting it directly from instead of it being processed through the VCR, blah blah blah. How it works,
Huh.
you lose a lot of the waviness that you might see in an old VHS tape. But that's what they've been working on. You can buy this like $500 thing
Interesting.
that'll connect to it. I'm not to that point of trying to upgrade there yet, but I got a
Hmm.
VCR with an S video output, which is, you know,
I
a
can't
step.
remember the last time I've heard that's a step back in time.
That's a step up from your yellow, white, and red. It's so I at least have that, but yeah, I don't know if I have $500 in me and trying to learn how to connect try to weld that to
Well, that's a great point
internals of the
because
VCR.
no, that's a great point because what we do, it's not for the payday. It's for the love of the art itself and facilitating it and getting it out there. And I think it's important what you do because it highlights an era of a band that, as I mentioned before, is not only still actively both touring and putting out new music and new studio albums, and innovative art and products to go with it. But they have this specific foundational era. And I think that bringing that to the forefront, 20 some odd years later is important because it's important, as we said so often on this show before, to remind folks, especially the next generation, that our love for the music and what we do, it didn't start with us. It's been passed down. Like my dad took me to concerts, like your brother took you. Like it was, it's passed down from the generation ahead, and it's our job to continue to bring highlight the certain parts that shouldn't be forgotten and make sure that they're preserved to pass down as well.
Well, so, you know, I'm playing a part in it, but when anybody comments on my YouTube channel or anything, it's like, thank you for what you do, blah, 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 blah. I just say, job bless the tapers. And that's kind of my just response to everybody is just like, because without that, without somebody not only audio wise taping the show, but coming in with a video camera, a tripod, lugging that into a show, buying a ticket to the show, taking that in there, sneaking it past security, getting it there, and then spending the time guarding it and watching out, making sure nobody's going to come take it from you, kick you out of the show, and then also paying attention to the show enough to where you're zooming in on Mikey soloing or JB rapping dinner and diner or schools
Even
during stop go, whatever it is. They're focusing in, zooming in, whatever else. Somebody spent the time to do that. I'm taking up my part is I'm just using tools available to us now that weren't then, and I have time and a desire, and I'm doing it. So,
it was
job bless the
even
tapers for
it
letting us
absolutely
have the
100%
chance.
secondhand talent certified. Absolutely.
Right.
It was even, I remember seeing the phrase as a staple in the scene when I first started, really seeing live music regularly, especially in the jam band scene. Thank a taper. I mean, like, anytime you see someone taking the time to tape and it's cool that the bands, have taper tickets, but like even the fact that they're making the effort to preserve the show for future generations and for us now to be able to re-listen to. I mean, the fact that we have apps like re-listen, where we can, access all and archive.org where
For
we
us,
can
it's Panic
access.
Stream. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. I mean, there's
re-listen just for Panic
fish
fans. Re-listen
fish.in.
just
Yeah.
takes Panic Stream's
Well, and
source
they
and
do the same for
streams.
fish.in. Got to give them
There you
credit
go.
where credit is due.
Right.
No, you're absolutely correct. And it is thanks to, I mean, they have damn near every Grateful Dead recording recorded thanks to all of those tapers. Like the amount of given the time frame that we're talking about from the Grateful Dead to the first years you started seeing Panic. I mean, go watch our interview with Susanna Millman if you want to hear about the size of that gear setup, let alone the weight. But all the extra precautions if you weren't licensed by the band to come in and do it. I mean,
Right.
it was a task, and it was a thankless task, you know, at the time, and I think mostly now. But like, yeah, if you take nothing else away from this episode, thank a taper.
Yep.
When you're at a show, thank a taper.
I agree. God bless the tapers.
God bless the tapers. So let's talk a little bit about these two items that you have behind you that are not the flag. Can you explain to us what these two items are?
Yeah. So that one is I'll take it off the wall now.
Yeah. Folks, if you're listening and not watching, he's taking it off the wall.
So,
all right.
And I'm sure it's in reverse on here, but it is a plaque that you can see the blank CDs or whatever they use is kind of starting to warp over time. But it was to commemorate 50,000 records sold of the Live at Oak Mountain DVD. Again, was filmed by the Hanson brothers during the 2000 summer tour. This was my second show ever, actually, that was recorded.
Oh, wow.
This was August 12th, 2000. First show was the night before, and then they played one more night the next night for the finish out the run at Oak Mountain.
What are some of your standouts from that record? From that show?
Well, from the weekend is the Sharon, and then the Going Out West. They played like a double encore, and Going Out West was one of the few covers. This is my first shows ever, and Going Out West was one of the few covers that I knew that they did because my brother had introduced me to it, and he actually called it. He was like, "They're playing out west next, so they're gonna next shows they're going out west, so they're probably gonna play Going Out West," and they come out and do this double encore and played it. That was cool. But yeah, the show itself has got a lot of killer stuff on this, Chili Water and all that. But this was filmed during the Hanson brothers filmed the whole 2000 tour, not the whole, but they followed them along, interviewed them, recorded some parts of different shows, and they kind of followed the guest that not early Panic, but Mikey Panic used to have a lot more guests that came out with them. Santana, we talked about. Merle Sanders is one that's featured in the documentary. Different people that they used to have as guests a lot of times, depending on where they were in the country. And they kind of showcased them in that documentary. But I'll show you the next piece, which is from Timothy Hemphill.
And again, to our listeners, our guest is just putting the other item back on the wall and getting the next item and bringing it to the camera. So like and subscribe. Oh, it's heavy there. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Oh, yeah, that's got some heft to it. So explain to us what that is right there.
So
wow,
it is
all impressive metal. As fuck.
All metal.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
This is the Fireball logo.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, now I see it. Yeah.
Is on their Light Fuse Getaway. Which they just released the archive of that show, audio of that show this past Friday. We're on recording on a Sunday. But it is on the back. You may not be able to see it. It's going to be backwards too, but it's a 1 of 7 piece. It says July 4th, 2021. It's 7 of 7. My brother got it to me. I'm going to set this down.
Yeah, go for it.
My brother gave it to me.
Wow.
For Christmas. But again,
how do you come by something like that? That's incredible.
I'm not sure. He got them both for me, actually. And this one just happened by one of his friends was in somebody's office and had it on the wall, and he mentioned it to him. Oh, they blah, 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 blah. He was like, "Hey, you want to buy it?" And he told my brother, and my brother bought it for me for Christmas, same as this one. Like I said, this is a Timothy Hemphill piece. Check him out on Facebook. He does some really crazy metal art like this. This is a band sanctioned piece because this is actually one of their copyrighted logos. And it's, like I said, they allowed him to do 7 pieces, I guess. And I got the 7th one. Thanks, Walker.
Oh, man, that's just absolutely outstanding. And now, fine, and ending on the channel here, and on that, widespread copyrighted note. Two questions. No, one more of a statement than a question. Well, whatever. Anyway, the first is, why the Sandbox Channel? And you recently revamped your logo. Why was that so important, and why the logo that you chose?
So first, the name. Like I said, this was a work in progress. I never intended to be on a podcast talking about it. I just again wanted to do a few
I
songs,
get
and it
that.
just
I get that all the
snowballed.
time. Yeah.
I just snowballed to here. So it actually started on a message board I've been on since I was a freshman in college. So 23 years now I've been on this, whatever iterations. They've been on different hosting sites, but it's the same group of people. And I've had the same screen name since, 2002. But it's called the Sandbox. And so my initial original project was just a thread on that message board that was the Sandbox Better Audio Project. And so again, my idea was to just put better audio to video. That's all it started off as. And on YouTube, I was just originally the Sandbox. And when I started an Instagram channel like a year later, I was trying to promote, I just by posting clips on Instagram, promote the YouTube channel. And it just phonetically and just how, wording it out and typing it out, it just worked better to call it the Sandbox Channel on
Mhm.
YouTube, and that's how I became the Sandbox Channel. And then from the help of a good friend, Rebecca Savage, she's got a background in, graphic arts, and she's an artist and does amazing stuff. So it's like, well, I can't copyright her because of copyright. I can't monetize the site. I don't have any intention to monetize the site because it's not I'm not going to take Panic's music that somebody else recorded and yada, 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 and try to make
Mhm.
money off of that. YouTube wouldn't allow
No,
me anyway.
no, but it's not even about that. It's
No,
about
no, no.
like your ideal for what Panic fans should have and putting that vision to reality.
Oh, I want
And
people to
yeah,
listen to more Mikey Panic. To
yeah.
me, like I know they're still a band, just like Dead and Company is still a band. They're out there, they're
No,
playing
no,
the music, they're doing the things. But to me, well, see, we'll take that. You've got the same kind of opinion of like I don't want to badmouth now Panic. I still listen to it. I bought those last two
I'm gonna
albums
take
that came out.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna go
take a
see them when they come here.
big long sip of this tea right here.
But to me, like only listening to Jimmy Panic is like only listening to Dead and Company. And as a Grateful Dead fan, you know,
Sir.
right? Like,
Oh,
do you know somebody that listens to only Dead and Company shows?
proudly no.
I think there's a lot of Panic fans that only listen to Jimmy Panic. Good, better, or worse. Just want them to incorporate some Mikey Panic into their world.
Mm,
And
we now I know I opened the door for this by drawing the
I,
comparison
I
earlier,
know that's going to
but
be taken negatively, but
no, well, you
I,
know what? However, folks react in the comments is however they react in the comments. I don't care about comments. I'm just like I'm processing this as you're saying it, and I even the iteration of the Dead that I saw. I don't care if I get you. You know what? I'm not
maybe
gonna
then
lie. I was across the
maybe
street.
that's not the best
I
comparison, but
no. You know
I
what?
I
Hear
just
me
feel like
out.
there's a lot of Panic fans, and I'm
He-
glad they're
he-
into Panic. I just wish they would. I wish they'd listen to more Mikey because I don't think they're listening to a lot of Mikey,
Hear me out.
and I think that's unfortunate. Very
Was
unfortunate.
I was working for a pre and after party for a Dead and Company show at Wrigley Field. Gosh, close to 10 years ago now. And I remember I didn't go to the Dead and Company show. I've never seen Dead and Company live at to the time of this taping. I don't care for it. It means nothing to me. I saw the Dead was what they called themselves at that time, and I've seen every player. I saw Billy play with Seven Walkers. I saw the Mickey Hart Band. I saw, a few of Bobby's different projects. I've seen Phil and Friends. So I've seen each member of the band, but Dead and Company, like a lot of things are it. Dead and Company is not one of those things.
Well,
And I remember being across the street from the show and hearing the song being played and thinking, what ballad? What song is that? It was All Along the Watchtower. And it was so slow and it was so bad. And this was 10 years ago. Or 9, I guess, whatever. Like, it was the first year of Dead and 2016. And I was like, man, no.
well, here's my point. So, regardless of that
All
opinion,
right.
they are still selling a lot of tickets to a lot of shows at a big ass venue in Vegas. People are traveling from all over the world to go see that band in
Yeah,
the
but
sphere.
that's a
But
legacy and
but
an
this is
okay, all right. Well,
sure,
keep
right,
going.
sure.
Keep
That's my
going.
point. Exactly.
Keep
That's
going.
exactly my point. Is that people going to those shows still listen to Grateful Dead pre 95 and probably a lot of it. I don't get that same sense from Panic fans that got into Panic in this era. And no fault of their own. I mean, I'm just by luck of them playing Birmingham numerous times when I was in high school was I ever able to see Mikey. If they didn't play in my neighborhood, I wouldn't have ever seen them. And
Listen,
if I'd been 3 years younger, I never would have seen Mikey either.
I'm
I get that,
I'm
but
very spoiled in a certain sense. And
and I am too.
in that I
Oak
have
Mountain being in my backyard,
but I've never seen Jerry. And I've
but
never
you listen
seen
to old Grateful Dead. You listen to Jerry a lot though, don't you?
of course, but
That's
hear
my
me
point.
out. Hear me out. The two bands that I've seen the most are Fish, outside of my friends' bands, are Fish and Humphreys McGee, and those happen to be two bands that have not that Humphreys McGee one drummer change,
Hmm.
but Fish has had the same lineup since 1983.
Hmm.
You know, I have not had a band that I felt that passionately about that was intact during my lifetime that I can compare that to.
Very fortunate,
So I,
and
yeah,
uh, you know, can't change the past, and I
you
saw plenty of
you
I saw
can't
way
fault new
more
fans either. Like I
I
hear
saw
you.
way more not by like nine to not every Mikey show, one Mikey show, I saw 9 non-Mikey shows basically. It's not that it's not fun still. It's not that it's not still a good band. I just want people to listen to more Mikey. Is really all.
That
I just want them to incorporate a little bit in that. And if I help that, or if I make it more accessible, or adding video to it makes it, better. And also with the Jimmy side of things, I could do some videos of that era, but I just feel like there's so much. I mean, everybody has a video camera in their pocket now, that
it's a
wasn't
different
available
era.
then. Yeah, so I'm trying to preserve an era that doesn't have uh, a whole lot of video archive footage out there.
Well, I
I
think
think the band
that's
has a lot more, and while we wait for them to release it, I want to fill in the holes where I can.
Well, I mean, that's the reason you're on Secondhand Talent, and I mean, I'm assuming that's the reason why you incorporated Mikey so much into your new logo.
Well, yeah, going back and say thank you. Going back to the logo.
I got
Uh,
you, bud.
I had kind of an idea, and with Rebecca's help again, kind of made it a reality of incorporating the fact that it's video, because it's a TV. You got Mikey coming out the side of it, this silhouette that Chip Townsend actually he owns the copyright to the Carolina moon Mikey
Well,
silhouette.
and again, to be clear to
It's
all
all
of
that
our,
he makes
but
those flags too. go
but
see him on
also
Etsy.
find his link in the description. To be clear to all of our listeners, viewers, and readers, Sandbox is not in this for the money here. This is purely about promoting we're freely giving credit to all of the artists and tapers involved in this process. This is just about combining those efforts and getting that music out there to the people who need to hear it.
And again, I don't know who the video tapers are. The only person I know that was holding a camera was Fred Adams. He's got his own channel of a lot of his stuff, but his videos have been circulating for a long time. He let copies go and get out into the wild.
Gotcha.
And all I'm trying to do is take those and make them a little bit better with technology that's available now. I'm not trying to steal anybody's work by doing it. If I knew who had filmed it, I'd be happy to, give them the credit. But also, I don't know if they want their name to it for the fact that they did something they weren't supposed to do in the first place. I get that.
It's a conversation that
appreciate it nonetheless.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that anybody that wants to step forward and say this is my okay, we'll give you credit for it. Whatever,
Thank you.
Anyway, back to your logo, Mikey, coming out of the TV. So was it important for you to just kind of remind people that there is a visual aspect to this as well?
Well, I mean, that's my focus. There's audio of almost every Mikey show past a certain point, 93 or so, just about every show that they did, there is an audience recording, if not a soundboard recording of that show. The video is very few and far between. What is out there is mostly bootleg stuff. They have put out a couple of things of their own, of whole shows of the Mikey era. They're still very much, and they've made mention of the fact they're still very much a touring band with, and that's what their focus mainly is. Although they did just release a Mikey archive, like I said, this Friday of that April 18th show that kind of was spawned off of the release party of that anyway. So I get it, but I just want to, again, preserve the Mikey era, get more eyes on it if I can. The logo, as it says, got the TV on it, the visual aspect, as you said, but then there's also the audio aspect of it. And I try to clean up the audio if I can. There's, again, tools that allow for that. I can boost it up, the volume up, the gain up a little bit, syncing them together. There's some videos that are tougher to do. The video will be a little bit off speed than the audio. And I have to find the sweet spot of it might be 0.03% faster, the video, to make it coincide with a song for an entire song and not get off track and it be delayed. It takes some work to do some of that stuff. And if I got to do it to make it right, I'm going to take the time to do it because that's what I want to do. But then back to the logo, the TV has an antenna coming out of it that's actually like a mic stack, or at least the idea is it's supposed to be a mic stack from an audience recording. Hell
yeah.
A taper, if you will.
Taper stick.
So that was the idea about it, to combine both aspects of recording or archiving a experience, if you will.
Well, I think you freaking nailed it, man. It was such an absolutely wonderful experience having you on the show. The Sandbox Channel, folks, go check it out. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, this is Steiner with an episode of Secondhand Talent, and we will see you next Wednesday. And that's a podcast. There we go. We did it.
Sick. Nailed it.
Feels good, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.